So I would go with what we planned in the same flow till others join.
Hmm.
So we'll start typically exactly at 4 o'clock. People keep joining, and let's not wait for others to join. We'll maybe 2 minutes or something we can give for people to join.
Done. I think that's
Anyone from
time.
your team joining?
No, Ramya. Actually, there's some prod issue going on, so I didn't.
Oh,
So
okay, okay.
then I said, okay, fine. Um,
How about you had a person in HR, right? I mean, is he still there?
yeah, he's there.
Okay, good, good. We have people joining in.
Hmm. Yeah, 8 more minutes.
Yeah, let's wait.
Oh, Dharma is here.
Hi, Dharma, welcome.
Hey there, how are you?
Good, good, good. So after you, Ramya, Dharma is our champion, na, for OKR.
Now
Hmm.
he is everyone's champion. I've come out of it.
Hmm.
Hey Arti, how
Just
are
go.
you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Nice to see you here.
Hmm.
We'll learn from you today,
Oh,
like every day.
yeah. I'll try. I'll try whatever I learned from you to share. Yeah. So if I get something which is I can't answer, it will be passed to Dharma, then Ramya.
That's a risky thing. So we have a couple of more minutes. I think we have 5 minutes more. I want to give that time for people to joining it before starting. I know few have joined. Please do wait for us to start. Allow us 5 more minutes so that we'll begin the session. Thank you very much for the enthusiasm and joining early. I really appreciate it. We won't disappoint you.
Meanwhile, if who already have joined, we can introduce ourselves on the chat window, just to getting know to each other. You can say a quick hi, hello, in brief.
Let me see the chat. Hi Madhu, good evening. I have Swati as a close associate or friend. Swati actually takes care of HR and ASCOM.
Oh,
So
hi Swati. Hi Madhu.
Hi. Hi, this is Swati.
welcome Swati.
Welcome.
Hi.
Cool. Then I think I hope people share a lot of questions in the end of the session, and it keeps it more interesting. So I think another 2 more minutes will get started. We are on time today.
Yeah, and I really appreciate this is during the work hours, people have, come in to join in.
Yeah, taken time. Always when it comes to India's geography, we have seen people join. Really, the attendance is pretty high when you're doing some sessions between 3 to 5. So that's a stat. When it's US, they prefer the morning sessions, like 10 o'clock in the morning, or sometimes they also prefer 8 o'clock in the morning. They all start early, and they might want to start with a session, and that's how been our geographic spread has been for the sessions. So India, this is a sweet spot time, and they've always been on time. And for us, I've seen people who joining in early most of the time, and the questions are also very interesting. So I wait for the end always so that I can really read out the questions. Cool. Then let's get started. Then in that case, Aarti, I think few people have joined. We have close to more than 13 people have joined the session, and I don't want them to be waiting beyond this. Let others join. We will also be sharing the recording with everyone, so that it will give us, for them to not miss the beginning as well. Okay, thank you very much, Aarti. Good evening, everyone, and I welcome Aarti to this session. It's a very special session for us as data legends. So today we're going to talk more about OKRs, which has been our sweet spot or which has been our favorite topics all the while. So what we would be talking about is OKR as a goal alignment methodology. And we wanted to take a moment to look back at what has happened in the last few years and what is actually can we expect out of this in the future as well. So this is what the context that we have set for the session today. I have Aarti today who's been there, done OKRs for a while now. Before I go ahead and introduce her to you, I would also take a moment in introducing Data Legends to you and our community. So Goals Accomplished is a community where we have a lot of visionaries, especially the CXOs, HR leaders and the strategists come to one place and discuss about their problem statements, their challenges, and what do they actually have some success stories to share. And that's a community which we run, and we have people who are part of that. We have close to around 150 people currently associated in the community. Owing to that community, we conduct monthly one sessions for the community event so that people can understand the challenges, and we bring out speakers from the community, outside the community, some of our customers to discuss about what's their experience and how it can help our community as well. So that's about our community, and this event is a community event. And there is also a link given below, which we will also share post the session. We are on Slack. You can join us in the community. And to introduce myself, before we go ahead to introduce myself, my name is Ramya Chandrasekharan. I'm one of the co-founders of Data Legends, and I love the space of performance and performance enablement. And we've been in this journey for last 7 years, right from your balance scorecard, your Ocean Canary, your management by objective, and later we fell in love with OKRs last 5 years. So that's been a journey, and we that's the last few years we've been driving organizations and working towards leaders like Aarti to ensure that the company objectives has been achieved. And to give a brief about what Data Legends does, now that we have a community and me as a founder, and what do we do? We have a platform, we have a SaaS platform, which is a very simplified and an intuitive platform which drives your performance, your OKR performance, and also KPIs. And we also configured that integrate along with a CFR, which is conversation feedback and recognition as well. That's what Data Legends is all about. We are a very simple SaaS platform. And having said that, let me bring Aarti to the table and let me introduce it. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce Aarti. She's been with us from the beta days, and she's been traveling with us for the last 3 years. And earlier to Data Legends, I've also had an opportunity to work with her. And it's always been inspiring to work with a great leader that I've seen till date. And she's a certified global HR practitioner, certified by SHRM and EDP as well. And she's also done leadership and change management from XLRI. She holds more than 15 plus years of experience, both in leadership roles, and also she has an entire government of HR role that she has played. And she's also mentoring a lot of young HR team members, which I have also recently come across. She kind of collaborates and mentors young HR leaders with HSRM, and she's also been achieved awarded 30 under 30 HR leaders John Bay. So these things are a great inspiration for a HR leader. Unless until you keep learning day in and day out, you cannot go, because HR is a very versatile and a dynamic environment. And she's been there, and she's navigated towards the entire learning process. And she also completed her international coaching federation. I understood that that's how her coaching experience comes when she implemented OKRs in her own company. Currently, she heads she's a senior director for Gig Sky. That's where she currently works. And she is passionate also in helping special children who are terminally ill and destitute women also. And she's also a winner of top 100 under 40 HR leaders in India. these titles what I'm reading here are something which I always dreamt when I was practicing HR. I'm so jealous, and also I'm so happy that Aarti could accomplish all these things. And currently, she's also a finalist of the top 10% women leaders out of 1,000 plus who've been nominated, who applied for this program. So it gives me utmost pleasure, to invite Aarti here, a very special guest and a customer of ours who's been with us for last 3 years, who've been implementing our product and driving a product as well. With that, I want to go ahead and start discussing with Aarti on her journey and how she implemented OKRs in her organization. Let me just start with that. Just a quick intro, Aarti, if you want to share something.
Hey, hi, Ramya. That's a lot. Thank you. Yeah, our association has been, I think, quite a while now, and yeah, a lot of learning across. It's a lot of giving and learning, taking and learning. It has been a very exciting journey and a very fulfilling one. And what I was really, interesting for me when I reflected, you were saying about the session, the key thing which came to me was, how it is significant now and what churned, especially in the last 3-4 years, because our relationship was much beyond that. And the significance of, how this OKR platform has helped an organization to not only set right or align the major objectives of the organization, but also a lot of things along with that. So I thought it's a good platform to discuss with you, and also brainstorm with the other people present here, and also collaterally learn with them.
Awesome. That was nice, Aarti. I wanted to start with something, when we started discussing OKRs with you, right? That was when people didn't even start using OKRs, are probably educational phase for us in India, especially. We are trying to kind of learn what OKRs can be and how we can implement that. We are talking about 4 years back. And now today, most of the organization has adopted it as a DNA, and people started writing success stories around it. So at that point of time, when I actually rewind and see what made you actually even think of OKRs, why OKRs in the first place, what was the trigger point for you?
Okay, so if I have to go back to, like, reverse back 3 years back, so again, the major problem that we are trying to address was around productivity. Okay, and the Gallup survey constantly says that more than 50% of the global workforce are not actively engaged in their work, and out of this, close to 18% are actively disengaged. So what is something which can systematically address this to the core? So when we start looking at it, and also we understood that because of this kind of a disengagement, the turnover rates is an issue. There is there is a lot of distrust among the employees to what is expected and what is being asked from them, and what could they deliver within it, and the productivity was going down. So that was a time when we wanted to embark on this very dynamic journey of OKRs. It wasn't easy, Ramya, I should accept, because as you rightly said, it wasn't the time when people were ready to get into it. They were looking at it as another goal setting process. The dynamic what to say, the intricacies of the entire scope wasn't well known at the starting, right? But eventually it became a success for us, because when the pandemic came in, okay, there was profound transformation. We saw, okay, shift from working in office to remote, then remotes to flexible hybrid, then like no mandating hybrid, and now everybody wants to go back to call everybody back to office. Now with all this churning, if we really reflect back what is happening and why even organizations are still going behind this, we really understand that there is a lot of performance anxiety. There is they call as a flexibility anxiety. So people are be it the employer and the employee, both have their own scope of things. Let me first talk about the employee. Okay, so if you are an employee who have been through the pandemic, you would definitely say the amount of work that you did has proportionally gone up. The managers, even in the current survey, says any manager across, mostly, largely, are getting a lot of work, more than what they could handle. Their cups are overflowing. And yet they have a lot of productivity anxiety. Am I doing enough? Can I sustain this kind of performance? On the other side, the employers are like, what are my growth metrics? Are we there? So there is a lot of, still there's a lot of traction between give and take there. So what this OKR framework gives a lot of clarity and transparency about, this is what is expected of you. This is how you're going to add value to the system. This is what the work or the project that you or your team does is impacting the growth drivers of the company. These are the critical success factors for the company. So that kind of a framework brought in a lot of credibility, and that was something which was not easy to establish, but once done, it gave a lot of positive focus for people within the framework and the system, that's saying that yes, yeah, whatever I'm doing makes sense. Whatever, because Ramya, nowadays people want to be productive from day one. They want to know, okay, it's more than your compensation, your titles. Employees now want to understand, how am I bringing meat to the company? How am I making value? And where am I delivering? Right. So I think that's what helped us to embark this journey very strongly. And still I would not say we have like done finish and all that. Still we are learning, growing as an organization, but yeah, we have come a long way.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, definitely I understand the certain pointers that you had, right? I mean, the productivity anxiety is something which is real currently. So it is happening, and people are able to see the problem, and both ways, right? As a manager, you have some other critical issues that you want to face, and as an employee, also you have your own challenges to face. You rightly put, I know everyone has their own growth metrics to measure. Company has their own ROI, the productivity that we need to look at, and team leaders have to look at the productivity of their own teams, and team has to deliver everything within time and the value that we think they deliver. Amazing, rightly put. I understand the need that probably that you felt for OKR, a framework like OKR, because that's when people can bring everything to a focus, and what really matters to you, and keep it really very simple and very less, so that we can focus on what actually is a priority, not really working at something which becomes, I'm still busy but not productive enough. That should not so happen. So I think that is a right decision that you probably, your problem statement has helped you to kind of make the decision. I think with that, I wanted to ask you one more question, right? I mean,
Also Ramya, if I might
uh,
add to, sorry, like I missed out to say, like even the culture element. Okay, see, me being the HR, I've been hearing this, that okay, all this remote working, all this flexibility has made a lot of disconnect between the employees. How do you percolate culture back? How do you bring the sense of belongingness back? And now I think people are starting championing themselves of leading the culture through this framework, because we know what our value system is and what's important, and people have started really appreciating that and starting belonging to that. If I try to give a small example, we have put certain OKRs around that itself. So we said, okay, when we talk about, okay, so when I talk about a particular engineering team, I said that this is kind of engineering team we're trying to build, and we put, okay, so what elements get into it. So it gives a lot of credibility and pat on the back, like we are owning it up there. So but I do understand there's a long way to go, but that fear of, okay, the osmosis of, okay, only if they come to office we would be able to put them together, they will understand the culture of our company. I think we have come away from that. We are coming away from that, and if this system works well, we should be able to to a good extent percolate culture also. We are a good framework of OKRs itself.
awesome. I mean, when you said that you have OKRs around culture, that says the right approach of creating the entire framework calls for a cultural transformation, right? So it's a mindset that you implement OKR with a mindset. It's just not another system that you can start tracking and start reviewing from day one. But it's a transition from what you are and where you want to actually achieve. So that particular transition might, for some companies, I've seen it has taken 1 quarter. Some companies are taking it less than a quarter, a very young and a very new team are able to adopt to it much earlier than a very older team. It takes us along as 6 months also for some team. But nevertheless, that the conviction of the leaders, the buy-in of the leaders actually makes that particular cultural transformation much easier, much faster for everyone. So I think that's been from what I saw from the way that you and your team worked along throughout the process. I understood the buy-in has been pretty high in terms of the leadership level, and that's why though however time it took, we are able to go on the right track and really get the right results what we were looking at. So for me, I think when I start this any session or any discussion with our customers or a prospect, we ask the similar question I asked you: why do you really want to do OKRs? If you're not really having the answer to that question, I think probably you should not start with that, because that will not really take you to a success journey. So I'm very eager to move on and then ask you, you've been there and you've implemented OKRs. It's been 3 years now. What are the key benefits that you would want to highlight? So, before and after kind of a scenario, what is that I can actually, I'm eager to listen to that.
Okay. Good you brought it. So Ramya, the thing, like, because last 4 years has been challenging for everybody globally. Okay, the kind of the change required to the willingness to change has been inversely proportional. People like profound transformations everywhere. So when we are doing such kind of things, OKR framework helps us to pause and look at it things very objectively, and that kind of objectivity was what it was required out of all the chaos around. So that eased a lot of change transformations for us. So it made it more simpler and more objective and more doable, more workable for us. And the second part was, when we talk about any business, any CXO or any investor would look at, okay, what are my growth drivers, what are my key critical success factors, and how are they aligned to the company. And this framework that's what the framework works for. So that's something which really we are getting into it and trying to get look at the numbers. How are we churning and making change to the critical success factors for the company, what it matters to the company. So that could be another major benefit out of implementing this system from the employer perspective. Okay, so apart from this, Ramya, we also understood this system is dynamic, and that's the beauty of it. So like, it's not that if I write it, it's written on the wood and salt, and so it is like it works for us. So if and that's something like, I read very recently, there was a Qualtrics survey which was talking about humans love technology or AI or generative AI which they can manage, and not which manages them. So in that aspect, I think tools like your platform or whichever helps us to navigate how we want to do it. Like, okay, for example, certain times, because I work for a growing company, our things would be very, 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 very agile. It'll keep moving. So our goals, prospecting things, important scenarios would be keep moving. And this the framework also was agile with us. So we had the flexibility to work around, to rework around. So that's something which helped us to make it work for us. So that's something which, from the employer perspective, I found it very, very interesting. From the other side, from HR perspective, you see, it gave a lot of clarity when somebody joins an organization. For example, a new employee joins, he or she knows exactly, apart from the job description or roles and responsibilities, they know what is exactly expected out of him or her in the next 3 months. What are the pain points, where it is right now, so how they have to take it from there. So that was like, it's all open and transparent. So that's the kind of credibility that we would want to build as a culture, right? And same thing at time of exit, it gives a proper closure to whatever the person was doing within the organization. And surprisingly, we didn't expect this would turn out, but the other benefit we understood was around talent mobility. So a company like mine, like Gig Sky, so we have a lot of programs around talent mobility. Somebody who is in QA is very keen to move to DevOps. Somebody in DevOps want to become a backend engineer. So we have a lot of, internal talent mobility happening. Even when those phases, this structure gave a lot of clarity. They know tomorrow, in next 3 months, the team that they will be working in, what is actually churning in, what are the challenges, what is expected out of the person or the responsibility or the position that he or she is going to getting into. So it eased a lot of issues around talent mobility for us, which we didn't expect, but it was a surprise package, a collateral benefit for us. So, so those were very, still we are, reaping benefits of it, of establishing this kind of a framework within, right? So, and Ramya, like it also eased a lot of communication within the group, uh, be it upward, across, the collaboration, the communication was becoming very open, very direct, and it worked perfectly for companies like us, which is global matrix organizations, right? So the visibility was better, recognition was better, and people knew for what somebody is getting recognized for. And it's not that, okay, so this is like, okay, round robin. So today Aarti gets recognized and tomorrow Ramya gets recognized. No, they knew why was Aarti recognized for, what was her contribution on the track. So those were things that, yes, definitely, like were added cherries for our all our sweat and blood that we put into implementing
Very
the
true.
OKR framework.
Very amazing. I mean, Aarti, three things which I could see the a reason behind your success. As you speak, I could actually understand, right? I mean, the one thing is the talent mobility. That's a biggest challenge that most of the company has. The transparency that brings in. So transparency becomes the core of the entire framework. So probably you have actually taken the best practices rightly and then implemented. I think that has fetched the result that you're looking in today. And I've also seen you having a lot of projects, the sprint and sprint goals are also there. There are a lot of other team. They also have their own priorities. How did you? I know for a fact that people have come up and asked you about this quite often in your own company also. How do you balance these two, the sprint team, and how does it actually get aligned with OKRs for you?
So we just aligned it with the sprint. So
Oh,
we
that's
have
awesome.
a fortnightly sprint. So
Hmm.
we ask all employees, teams to update their OKRs, the updates around OKRs at end and start of every sprint, which is fortnightly. So when you do that, and the accountability sits on your manager or the lead to ensure that you have done your sprint update, and we synced it up with we have a monthly meet, one-on-one. Every manager meets a team member every month once. So we ensure that that sync up happens to the tool. So it churns appropriately as a well-oiled engine.
Awesome, awesome. This is something which I wanted to ask you myself for a very long time now. There are strategies of an organization which are very agile, right? I mean, what we did last quarter probably may not be the same that this quarter also. It's going to be very dynamic in nature. You know, how did the team respond to that also, and then how easy or how hard the entire environment for them was. And I think there is I could see a raised hand from Jacob. Would you want to say something, Jacob, now? No, probably. Maybe you can just share the question in the chat. I can also, talk to you in the latest point of time. So, how agility becomes important, when your actually goals are also shifting. I thought of something else and I wrote some OKRs in Q1. That's not going to reflect the same way in Q2. So how did people get adopted to this changes quite often? How well did you actually have? Did you have a support in terms of helping them draft OKRs for every quarter?
Yeah, Ramya. So that was one of the challenge that we had to had it head on from the starting phase. So what we did in Gig Sky was, see, one is there should be an internal champion who champions your OKR thing itself. Okay, so mostly the HR owns it up in an organization, but it doesn't end with one person. It's not only the HR owns it up, it has to percolate along with all your leaders. There should be a buy-in, how this OKR and framework is going to, shift the way that we work, the way that we approach our goals, the way it's going to affect our growth drivers, right? And once you have a buy-in from the leaders and then with the managers, that's what would drive the success of it. So to come to your question of it, what we did it, we took an approach of very, very, we can say it as a pilot approach. So we took a small team. So the senior team leaders were involved. So once we have percolated it and understood, the importance of doing this framework, and then we did a pilot approach. We did it with one function, one department, understood what challenges we were facing, because this is what's going to be across. And always we are working with what was important for the company and not for the team or the department. So when you always look at what's important for the company, people will make sense. And we understand, okay, some project has been put on cold, and it will not be churning till the next 3 months. There's an acceptance. You don't have to explain, because that's how it's been linked to the company goals.
Awesome.
So that when you have the transparency up, and you know what you're doing is affecting the company, rolling up to what matters to the company, there's a lot of acceptance. Your change is easier, and you can become more agile.
Awesome. Perfect. So I think that that is something, alignment is key, right? When it comes to OKRs, that alignment is a very powerful thing that I know for a fact that I'm actually contributing to a company level objective. So I become very conscious about it. At the same time, my resources are also up, and I ensure that I perform 100% in terms of getting it. And since it's also transparent, there is a communication. So if I have what do you say, an aspirational OKR, right? Aspirational OKR. So you can't expect them to hit 100 at all times, because it's an aspiration by itself. So that becomes an open conversation, for everyone, and to discuss about it. What are the challenges that are we facing in deploying it? That conversation makes it more interesting. So I have a couple of questions. Do you want to take it now, Aarti, or can we take it should we go on and then take it later?
Yeah, we can look at it, Ramya.
Awesome. I have my a very close customer of mine, Hendra, is also here. It's been a while that I saw him. Hi, Hendra. Welcome to our session once again. And he has a question. He's actually a pro in OKRs.
Oh, okay.
Uh, so he's an OKR champion himself for the companies that where he works. So he's asking, before deploying the OKR framework by cascading and aligning to every OKRs in whole organization, how do you set the right corporate objective? Then how can you ensure the corporate objective is perfect one to pursue? That's a very good question, Hendra. What if the starting point itself is wrong? So that's what he's asking. So how do we start right? That's something that probably, if you can answer, Aarti.
Okay, see what matters most to the business at that point in time. See, we have our annual goal setting process, right? So what's important for the company for that year? In terms of numbers, growth drivers, what are the key things that we are looking for? Not only, like as Ramya said, not only your objective goals, even aspirational ones. And then we classify what are the things that I can't negotiate. This has to be done. And there are something which are good to be done. So we have a clarity around that. And then we understand how this has to happen across. Who would be the responsible, stakeholders who would be driving that, right? So we start from there. So, and then we have a clarity of what are non-negotiables and what are negotiables. So we know, okay, so the negotiables might have a time shift, okay, if didn't happen in this quarter, we shift it to the next quarter. But then we know what are the non-negotiables and how do we drive around them. I hope I answered broadly around that.
So I want to take up on that, Hendra. The one thing which the agility we were talking about, the dynamic way that the framework works. I work with while we work with startups. failing fast is very important, right? Even if you set an objective where you are allowed to fail fast, it's a very good thing to go with. So even if to have a objective set before we know this, we have set the direction, but probably sometime we are also we are everyone has a learning curve to it, right? If we might end up making mistakes or we might not go on a right direction. So I think the OKRs helps you to fail fast and kind of start ahead and then run fast again. So that particular for in my experience, where no one got it right the first time. So even if you have not got right the first time, we're good to go. So nothing to worry.
And to add to that, see, when we set the initial annual goal, it will turn and become flexible around it, especially for a growing company, no doubt around that. But when you do that, but when it is transparent, OKR frameworks helps it to be transparent. I know what Hendra is working about. And I know, okay, this is where he requires or is not going to happen because of whatever scenario, right? It might be industry, it might be market, it might be whatever. So my acceptance of what is happening and plugging in and rewiring around that will be quicker, faster, like how Ramya says, failing fast and recovering and seeing what next. But what we go in GigSky is like what are my non-negotiables and what are the ones which are good to have to go. Classify them and then stick to that.
Awesome. So I will actually ask my question. So I think the other two questions would be answered there. So we were talking, I wanted to ask you about the challenges, right? I mean, that's something which I wanted to really spend some time around that, because in spite of me or us being in the journey for the last 3 years or 4 years, we've also seen people churning out quite often, right? For various reasons. But making people the grit of it, holding to it, and then performing takes a lot of time and perseverance to that. The resilience too should also be there. Having said that, what are the most challenges you feel? You don't have to talk everything. Probably top three challenges that you face. Probably we will also be, all of our customers will also be facing the same thing. So that they can actually learn from it and start implementing in a better way. So if you can just two or three examples where what are the challenges you had, that will be awesome. I think that will also answer Amit's question.
Okay. So Ramya, as I told, it wasn't an easy journey. So one key challenge, if I have to say, was around digital dexterity. Okay, because you have folks from all gens in your company. There are somebody who would definitely adopt technology much faster, much quicker than others. And then thanks to the pandemic, everybody started hating. There was so much of technology everywhere that they are like, one more and then they break. Okay, so it's like, no, not one more, right? So that was the first thing that we had to address. So what approach GigSky took was, do a pilot. That's what we said. Okay, make it success, make it work in one key function, and show how it aligns to the business, how it's changing the things, how it's changing the game, and use that as a benchmark to go next. So we slowly rippled out. That was the thing that we handled. The other thing which I do with some of them who are like really very difficult to make them come and embark on this technology. So what I did is, like, we had some tech champs within. So for example, if there is a team, so I don't want to name the team, so this team had some very senior people. Now what happens is that so they had the fear of letting go of what they're actually doing. They were not comfortable with how this framework would change the way that they do work, they do, how they would get measured, and some were not comfortable on getting exposed, like being so transparent in presenting whatever work they are doing. So what we did people in the same team who can take up technology easier, who are sharper to understand what the OKR frameworks are, and we paired them to help the other one. So a lot of collaborative work. So then we saw, okay, it works. It was a lot of partnering within the small units and function that helped us to slowly translate, understand, percolate within the certain functions, certain certain sets where it was difficult for people to, take in the framework, change the way, and get into the next zone of working. So that was one challenge, Ramya, major challenge that we faced. We still face. I could say we were quite successful, but still, it is a long game.
I know, I know. I mean, onboarding a digital platform early on has actually helped most of the folks or most of the companies that whom we have worked with, because the one important crux of the entire framework is the alignment, right? That alignment cannot be visualized in your Excel sheets or your Google sheets or wherever. And I've also had people coming up and saying that, we all practice OKRs, we all have an Excel sheet, we don't want to take up on a platform as of now. But when we actually go to those team members, go talk to them on their real OKR implementation, they also feel that the entire review around that OKRs becomes silos. Okay, the engineering team talks about their own OKR, the sales team talk about their own OKR. The two essence, which is alignment and the collaboration, is totally taken away from the entire process. So that's why we always advocate people to adopt to digital transformation right away. The reason being, one, we are today a hybrid. We are working flexible, we are working hybrid, and we need to only set the direction to the team. You can't be micromanaging them always. Everyone has their own priorities to go with. So that particular two things, which has really become a very important factor when you implement OKRs. One is understanding what OKRs are all about. Second, how do we track it, right? I mean, tracking becomes a very important way that's a success. I would say it's an enabler to success of OKR implementation. Not that we have a platform, but as a practitioner, also I had the same, a thought process when we implemented OKRs to our organization. So that's something very interesting, Aarti, that you actually adopted to few basics, what we call it as basics of implementation. I think you did it really meticulously well, and that's probably is yielding your results today. And one thing which I think there is a question around, I would want to take the initial stages, the challenges. You already answered that question, how you did a pilot and then got it resolved. And the adoption was also spoken about, how you increased adoption. The one important question which I get every single day, I get DM'd in LinkedIn, I get my WhatsApp messages, and I get my demo call booked, my calendar locked to discuss this point, that how do we integrate OKRs to performance management? There has been a paradigm shift from how we thought of OKRs and how it has actually gone to the ground and getting started today. So, what was your experience? I understood that this is also OKR is also one of your framework that you help your team to analyze their performance of the team, and also you drive your performance management around it. What's been your experience? I have my own, one, two, three checklist for that. But I want to really listen from you as a practitioner who implemented, how you actually handle that.
So, Ramya, we did it from day one. Performance management is what helped me to successfully implement OKR. So I tell employees very simple words. See, if whatever you are doing to the company, it has to reflect in your KRs, right? In your team goals. You bring in visibility. What you are bringing on the table. That's it. And so our entire performance is based on the OKRs. So apart from, and we have done away with our annual review forms or annual performance forms of goals and everything. We only see their OKRs, what they have done entire year, how they have contributed. So we do have two different goals, right? One is individual goals and the other is team goals and the company goals. So we see, so what was your goals, what were your team goals, and how you have rolled up to the company's objectives. And this has been my key to actually get people to use the framework. See, you might have excellent tools, You will send push notifications, you will send email reminders, you do everything. But somebody has to do it. I can say, okay, you do it with your sprint, you update it with your sprint. So what was success for me was, boss, you want your performance to be seen, you be up on that. You do your Jira entry or no, I'm not worried. If whatever your performance, you update your OKR sheets. Okay. So that has to be up to date. There's a lot of visibility, right? So the manager sees what the person updates, the team sees. There's a lot of recognition. There's a lot of collaboration which gets into. So that's what was we are looking forward. So to answer this question, yes, definitely, we have integrated our performance to the OKRs. The OKRs are also planned, made, ensuring it is more focused to the individual as well as aligned. So this is two-way key, right? So one side, it is indicating what the individual is contributing to the company, and the other side, quick alignment to the company's objectives. So that's the approach that we take from there.
Fantastic, fantastic, Aarti. I think that gives a lot of clarity to us in terms of performance management is more individualized, right? I mean, it's about an individual performance, but whereas OKRs drive your organizational priorities also. So for us, yes, I mean,
So
I've
Ramya,
always,
to add one thing, so this is what I told about culture. See,
mm,
in GigSky, we talk about transparency and credibility.
mm,
Now, anybody can look at my entries of KR and what I have contributed to the company. And if I get and exceed expectations, there is total buy-in. I am transparent, right? See, we have not grown to an level that we can display everybody's salaries or things like that. But this can be done because everybody works to add value towards the company's objectives. As simple as that. So that's how we made performance stack to the company's objectives, and we made it work for us.
fantastic, fantastic. I mean, you rightly put it, that very important that, there is no bias anywhere, right? I mean, we are being very transparent. If you call me X, Y, Z, I know for what.
Yes.
So then that becomes very, very transparent. I know. I also, when I speak, also people, few of our leaders who are hardcore experts of OKRs, who believe in OKRs, they say that multiple review system they have removed. There is only one single review system that they have brought in, one that is OKRs. I would do one review in one place, because team should also be focused. If I talk about OKRs to you as a manager, and someone else comes and asks me some other metric, so I will not, as a person, know what is to be prioritized. If the CEO is coming and asking me of a different metric, so obviously I'll go and prioritize more on that. So it becomes if there is a single metric, that the single review system that you can bring in, if that can be an OKR review system where for your aspiration that you can review. And I've also seen leaders who discuss business as usual metrics and also OKRs in same place, which puts me in a place asking, how actually I can, go about correcting my BAUs or increasing my BAUs by implementing another OKR or so. So that's a very interesting way that you have. There is a quick question that I have from Jacob. How to plan training and support for employees as you roll out OKR framework? Aarti, to you.
Okay, so we did some structured trainings. So we started from a time of joining itself. So it's a pack of our joining kit. That means you get trained of what are the OKRs, how does it work, how do you need to do your check-ins. So they have been educated at the time of their joining. But then again, with help of Ramya and team, so Dharma is also here. So we do interventionally keep because they bringing a lot of, as you said, the tool is also dynamic, the challenges are also dynamic. So whenever we are doing anything, we do a group training where largely we cover the major challenges, what can be done, and things like that. And then we have our internal champions, guys. So because that is very key, our managers are the key. So how much, so because we from the HR, we drive it through the leaders, through the managers, through the leads. Keep understanding, because every month they do one-on-ones. So what are the feelers? What is happening? What are the feedbacks they are giving? Are they facing any challenges? is the OKRs working for them? Because many a times we get a feedback, hey Aarti, I'm not able to know how to weigh this. How should I, describe this? How do I time this? Right? So, or somebody will come and say, okay, this is something which is very, very, aspirational. I do not know how to, divide it among the team, or this is something a teamwork. I think, guys, is again going and understanding what is the core of the issue, and then addressing it with the managers and leads, and percolating from them to the team is the approach that we took. It worked for us at GigSky. So there might be other things, but for us, at the time of induction, an employee joins, and then throughout we do some structured, training refreshers, and then the large part, at most 70 to 80%, is percolating through the direct managers, the first line managers. That's what worked for us.
Got it. Owning up to it, right? I mean, as everyone should own up to the entire process, and then I think that makes it more interesting, and the conversation becomes very healthy around the table. And people who are, you have whenever we talk about retrospective, that is OKR review meetings, the conversations are nothing surprising, nothing new, because we've always had a conversation around it. There is no surprise. I come up and say that, hey, I cannot do this because I don't have XYZ resources that which is planned. So these kind of questions, critical to business, can be totally avoided if you are really doing a continuous review of the entire process. Of course, being a digital platforms help you to kind of do the check-ins fortnightly, chat around it, have a conversation around it, share a feedback with your team. So that becomes very robust in terms of making the entire process successful. I love this discussion, how it's going on, and I think we've had full house today mostly. And
Ramya, one more to add.
yeah.
So surprisingly, we found one more also. Like Ben, thanks for that question on driving it through the managers. So
Mhm.
what we started understanding is the clarity around the skill gaps became more sharper. So initially, whenever we used to drive, a lot of individual development programs, trainings, and all this, so we used to do surveys and get insights. But when we do around this framework, a monthly review, looking at the OKRs and the KRs, so the managers keep coming and saying, this is the skill set that's key for us right now. And this is where we are missing right now, because this is what is happening around. And we understand what's happening in each of the team. Addressing skill gaps has become more sharper now, and we even borrowing talent and knowledge across. We know, okay, yes, we have somebody there who knows this, why don't we get it from that team? So this is something which, yeah, it was interesting for us, but this came from the managers themselves, that we started, apart from your regular training need analysis and all those things, this helped us to see what is relevant to the company, what are the skill gaps, and because we get the transparent view in front of us.
Awesome. I mean, that was actually, I would say, you nailed it in terms of, understanding the criticality of the skill gap, right? I mean, that's been the core factor. Leaders set the strategies on a higher level, but when on a ground level, when you roll out, you have surprises every day that we understand there is a new skill coming in. It's not that I don't know the existing one, something new coming in for us to throw us back and then say that, hey, I don't have the capability. So,
Even
people,
even resource allocation for that matter, they
very true.
understand that, okay, so now Ramya has been doing all this, and they see, okay, visibly that you're getting overburdened and you're not able to do so. It has helped to rationalize things, rework the org structures, hire required resources accordingly. It has helped in that also, Ramya. So it's a holistic tool. The best part is the bring, as you said, instead of operating in silos, the integration is the key. The integration is the one which solved a lot of problems, and integration and transparency around.
Very true, very true. I mean, I think it is a perfect use case for someone who really wants to implement, OKRs immediately or in the future. And Aarti is a person who can guide. She's a passionate coach. So if you are there to have, if you have, I'll also share her LinkedIn handle after the session. We will be sending you the mail in terms of the recordings that we had today. And absolutely, very credible points that you made, Aarti. And I really understand the struggle that you've been through all 3 years. And, I've, us being part of that entire journey. I could see from where we started and where we are today. And we are able to kind of take that lead now and say that, hey, probably these are the best practices we should be doing. We should avoid this early on, or probably we should do this for the later point of time. That kind of acumen probably we get only after we implement OKRs. And I would say when people come up and ask me, does it really have a learning curve to actually implement OKRs? I would say directly, no, it's simple English, right? We are all doing what we are doing. We are just going to channelize that what we are doing. So it's not a framework that you need to learn, you need to implement. It doesn't have that learning curve at all. It goes by what you're currently doing. When we ask, while we start, we ask, what are your current practices? You can't just like that erase everything and start something new. That will also put in a lot of resistance with your team. So what is your current practices? From where we can start from what you're currently practicing. So these are some very, very
one point to
yeah,
add, Ramya. There is no. It is simple English, but what we learned was you might make mistakes in making a good OKR.
very true.
There might be instances when person will write 10 key KRs for one. Okay, so it's a lot of learning around that. How do I write a good OKR which reflects both qualitative and quantitatively the work done? Or is it only measures progress? It doesn't measure how you do the work. Then again, there's a deficit there. It doesn't mean that you can do it anyway. Oh, I've done 100%. That's what matters. No, how you did it also matters. So are you balancing it enough? So the quality of the OKRs, improves if you actually, put your effort. And those were the learnings that so initially we did have some clumsy OKRs, and then we had to do the rewiring and all that. But then now, yeah, it's a learning around that process. Yeah.
Perfect. Luckily, we have a lot of support today in writing OKRs. I think your team can actually talk to you and get things right from day one. So that's an absolute interesting insights that you have shared, Aarti. And I wish I have an opportunity to talk to you every day to take some insights out. I know how busy you are. So with that, I think I really loved the session today. I hope we reconnect quite often. I'll take insights from you as well. We would be sharing the recording of this particular session as well as Aarti's handle so that you can chat with her. And at the same time, she's always there to mentor, coach in terms of OKR implementation. You can talk to us if you need a one-on-one consulting in terms of getting started with OKR. Feel free to write to us and join our community in Slack, which is goalsaccomplished.slack.com. This is where we are, and this is where people like Aarti is also there. So we have leaders like her who's part of this community where we can interact day-to-day challenges and day-to-day learning what we want to have. So I really loved the session and thank you very much for taking time and joining us, Aarti. It's an absolute pleasure always talking to you. Let's stay connected. And I would like to thank the audience today. They've been very interactive and we had almost a full house today. So I hope to see you again in our next upcoming session. Our team will share the details with you. Thank you, folks. Thanks for joining in today. Thank you very much, Aarti. Have a great evening.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Thanks Ramya, thanks Data Legends team, and thank you audience. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.